What is going on, everybody? And in this video, we're providing a state of the market and stock picks for October 27th, 2022. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, consider subscribing, because I do provide daily and weekly updates to get you prepared for the day and the week ahead in this glorious market. Now, today is very interesting. What's going on is extremely interesting. Meta absolutely got rocked after hours, not to mention that BA got rocked in the morning. Um, right now, Meta is down by 20% after hours. 20%. Massive, massive hit. This is also why they are rebranding, because of that fact. They saw it coming and they try to get ahead of the curve. Now, tech is just getting absolutely pummeled. Something we talked about in the beginning of the year was that value and financials essentially have been holding the market up. Well, BA kind of took a dump this morning, so the values are taking a bit of a hit. But with that being said, financials are still very strong. Mortgages have hit essentially an all-time, well, not an all-time high, but the U.S. 30-year mortgage rate tops 7%. 30-year fixed rate mortgages with conforming loan balance of 647,200. They continue to rise, right? And this is going to continue to happen, that people aren't going to be able to afford homes. They're going to be forced to have to rent till something changes, till the rates start dialing back and people can actually afford a home now. So that demand, massive spike in rentals is going to continue to soar because there's a massive amount of demand, and no time soon is that going to change. So to see inflation come down right now, there was rumors that started on Friday of a pivot, essentially mixed also with earnings mode. You could say, well, hey, election period is around that time too. Maybe in a regular cycle, but right now it's more so hopium that things are getting better. When you're seeing tech getting absolutely rocked, you have to also understand that Apple has been holding this whole time. Apple is the safe haven. If Apple breaks, which is tomorrow after the bell, along with Amazon, this thing could implode at that point. Even though the banks have been running, they are going to be out of steam. You can't let them go straight parabolic with no touchbacks, because that's just going to mean there's going to be a straight elevator down when it is time to turn over. And maybe that's tomorrow night. Maybe we get our pivot tomorrow. As you can see, you look on a daily here, we got that breakout, but again, we've been essentially shorted right back down to the 38. So roughly that 3,900 is kind of our top, which could be considered a high here. Now the next question is when we pull back, how much further are we going to pull back? Is the question. This was the hopium rocket right here. This is the earnings, essentially the earnings run. And this almost got killed here, but with a hopium of a pivot, push us up even more. Again, the market seems to be setting this news. Right, we got core around here, absolutely dropped like 80. I think it was 80 to 100 points, jumped 200 points. Institutional buying right here, and then this particular candle again, hopium about quantitative easing, pulling back on rates, and then now you got Fed saying no. We still got 75 more basis point moves. The question is they're going to continue the market, or the Fed and the Fed administration are going to try to pump the media with hope and things that are going to get better. When in fact the things that are pointing to, yes, they're getting better, but that's not the problem. The problem is your rent is up over $1,000 than when you would particularly pay a couple $100, which is a lot for a lot of people, considering there's going to be a lot more layoffs with everything that's currently going on. And despite that there being job openings extremely hard, you have to be extremely skilled to be able to do any of these jobs, and there's just a lack of skilled labor out there to fill a lot of these jobs. So yes, it may look like there's tons of jobs available. we're in a growth recession, which makes no sense because people are working just multiple jobs and they can't get ahead. And that is not being reported. But yet you see tech, Meta, 20% hit. That's absolutely absurd. And you're seeing all these massive. Google got absolutely obliterated too. And then everything just started rocketing back up in hopes that things are going to turn. But we'll see. Our safe haven is Apple. If Apple can do it, maybe we can get a little bit more of an extended run here. But I don't like the fact, again, we're going parabolic. That is not a good sign. You don't want to, again, continue to go parabolic. So going in tomorrow, we will see. I think we're going to be honest, I think we're going to chop. I think we're going to play this range between the 3,800 and the 3,900 tomorrow till we get Apple. And then once we get Apple, the market will move from that point. Now we're back above a lot of support, back above the 50 EMA daily, the 20 EMA daily, the 200 weekly. If Apple does good, we could see a push all the way back up to essentially 4K, potentially. But again, don't think this is going to be a full reversal. There's still a lot of bad sentiment going on, and this thing can drop just as fast as it's going up. You have to remember, we've had these massive pushes up and these, 5x down. So massive spikes up, 5x down. I wouldn't be surprised this is going to do the same exact thing. So just be mindful of that and just be careful as long as you're managing risk, taking profits on the pumps. That's what matters. The nice thing is, though, is the dollar has pulled back. But you have to understand, if you look here, even on the weekly, this is the weekly 20. If I actually pull up my studies here, which I typically take these off because it's just a little bit harder to read because I do have a lot of lines on here sometimes. But it hasn't touched this 20 in a very, very long time. When it hits this 108, so you got roughly around another $1. You get one more dollar drop on the dollar, and this thing is going to get a very nice bounce. Now, is that going to continue to push us up and continue to cause us skyrocketing? Would make sense considering the fact that the beginning of the year, I've talked about maybe the potential problems could occur there. Now, normally you have, the Christmas rally and all that stuff, which is roughly doesn't really occur till January when Q1 starts and you're getting ready to report Q4 results. That's typically around there. Around this time, the market's actually pretty dead and pretty flat from November to December. The market doesn't really do a whole lot. A lot of volume comes out because a lot of people are on vacation. And so that is something that happens a lot. So with that being said, this leaves us here with $1. So we'll see if the dollar can drop another $1 and then rocket from that point. So that's what I'm kind of watching there. Tesla, there's some EV news about climate change, and Tesla rocketed essentially off of that this morning. And then essentially, I think Elon actually closed on Twitter too, so he wasn't actually selling shares. So Tesla kind of rocketed from that as well today. So kind of watching that again. Be very skeptical on if this thing does start to come, the market starts to come down. Again, I'm thinking potentially, again, that 200 may be a bottom for Tesla for now, unless the market, again, gets some sort of black swan, again, on timing, roughly around the bottom. This could get worse, but I think that 200 is a good solid bottom for right now. As long as you have support, if this thing breaks 200, it tags you out, whatever you're managing risk. Again, if this thing wants to sell, you do have that 200 daily sitting roughly around that 187. So continuing to watch this, see how we open tomorrow. Again, if we, I think, again, we could trade flat, which means Tesla would probably trade flat tomorrow, roughly around the 218 mark. And then if we get that news, it could potentially pump Tesla all the way back up to 257. Potentially, again, it really just depends. You are right into resistance here. You're sitting at the 222. You did break this. Now you're kind of been retesting this. So just be careful we don't get one more strong leg down. That's what I've been talking about, is I'm looking for that one last strong leg. If there's one more strong leg, I'd be a lot more convinced that would be a bottom than kind of where we're floating around right now. But again, price action is telling me different, that there's institutional buying around here. this may be a bottom. Again, I'm not calling a bottom, but it very well may be. We just don't know. Time will tell. But and then BA, absolutely horrible earnings. It got absolutely crushed. We'll see where this thing goes tomorrow. It breaks out of this wedge tomorrow. Essentially, if it can't hold the 132, this thing could rocket all the way down to 118. Again, it's not going to happen in a day. But over several days, this thing could continue to sell off back down to that lower level. Very much can be that. Something I want to bring up too. Yesterday, I'm bringing this up. Visa reported yesterday a 20 cent increase on dividend, a 20% increase on dividends. The growth rate on credit cards is absurd. Something I've been talking about. Again, just be mindful. Look at the data. The stuff I'm talking about is based off of what's going on in the market, my thesis, and kind of solidifying that thesis that I have. But nonetheless, JPM banks, again, very, very strong. The market's not going to turn over if the banks are going to continue to be strong. I think the banks are running out of steam, though. You are hitting heavy resistance at the 125 here. Again, I see some sort of normal pullback. We did break out. Something I've been saying this all year. These breakouts should be essentially scaling back to roughly that 75% of the overall move. But it just hasn't been doing that. What it's been doing is it breaks out, and then you just get this massive sell-off back into the essentially the downward channel. So got to keep an eye on that. We want to see if this does. I really like to break above this 127 for me to believe that we're in a true pivot. But again, I just don't see that happening. Not right now. There's just too much going on right now, and I don't think there's going to be enough volume. I think the next 2 months we could potentially just go sideways. Like we've been doing. Maybe with a less volume, we'll get bigger moves a little bit bigger ranges, but I don't really see us doing much until I think in the new year. The market kind of settles into that, and then we kind of get, like I say, kick off January with the Xmas run, because you're getting ready to report Q4 earnings, and so that does help there. GS, again, same kind of situation. It is breaking out. I think this thing could potentially pump up to 355. It really needs to hold again this 329. If it breaks down below this, it could be in some trouble, so definitely watch out for that. Again, Bank of America, same thing. But that's pretty much what I got. I'm keeping these videos short because a lot of it's repetitive, and I know you're getting tired of me talking about the same kind of thing, so just kind of get short and to the point. Try to keep most of the meat in with the weekly update. And considering right now we're really just watching earnings and seeing what happens. Again, tech is getting absolutely pummeled. It's not doing anything to the market, nothing whatsoever. So keep in mind with that. Again, if banks give up, that's going to be it. You've got a lot of sell pressure on the tech side. Tech is not going to help you to the upside. So you better hope that financials and value can continue to hold up. If they can't, going to be in trouble. And if your safe haven Appl gives out, that might be the pin that's going to drop us pretty heavy towards the back half of the week. So just be mindful of that. So more so on Friday into next week. So that's what I'm kind of watching. And then again, you have monetary policy coming up on the 2nd, which is next week. And then so about a week from now, you're going to have monetary policy and see what happens there. But with all that being said, I appreciate you. Go ahead and drop a like button. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.